We interrupt what you're watching right now to bring you this exciting story.
It's the dust and it's the glory. 100 stripes, 100 stories. It's the pledge of allegiance on the 4th of July. It's some handwritten letters from home. It's some sleepless nights alone. It's his newborn baby he left with his wife. It's red, white, and blue. Lay down, he's alive. It's red, white, and blue. 40 stars and stripes. Hey. From the fields of Indiana to the swamps of Louisiana to the golden coast of California, Uncle Sam's the only family he's got. His purple heartbeat won't stop. And his 18th birthday was the day he was born. It's the red, white, and blue. Lay down, here's alive. It's the red, white, and blue. 40 stars and stripes. It's the red, white, and blue. Stand on the front line. It's the red, white, and blue. Pay the ultimate price. Oh. He was the man I was when he was born. His family is proud but torn. But if you knew him, you would understand. He was raised on how to be brave, just to see the flag still wave. And then he came home with all he wanted. It's Mr. Red, White, and Blue. Lay down his life. Mr. Red, White, and Blue. All these stars and stripes. Mr. Red, White, and Blue. Stand on this red line. Mr. Red, White, and Blue. He'll pay the ultimate price. Mr. Red, White, and Blue. Lay down his life. Mr. Red, White, and Blue. 40 stars and stripes. Marching line. Marching line. Hey. Hey.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, good evening, Erie County. Man, I'm telling you, what an absolutely, we always start out with a little weather update, just in case you were stuck inside. It was a gorgeous day outside. Outside, working a garage, had some errands to run, blah, 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 blah. But just, man, it was just a beautiful day. So if you're here, of course, you got the message that we're moving to 7 p.m.s on Sunday. It seems to work out better for the boss lady in the command center. It seems to, it did well on the polls that we put up to move it to the evening so that people go do their outside stuff. And you still have time. We'll do a quick show, sit around the campfire. It's gorgeous outside. That sounds like a great idea, actually. But no, we got a lot of things going on. There's a lot of winning going on. I know everyone that watches the news, even the fake news, will be more glad to talk about the huge, huge wins that we have gotten. And here is a list of those wins that hey, Josh, hi, Kim, Lance, Donna. Yes. So here we go. We got it. We got the gate. Mark, thanks for coming. I appreciate that. So here's a quick list of everything that the Supreme Court has decided that is the law. I know that's a quirky concept with the left, but here it is. It is really, really simple. These are not crazy stuff, but it will absolutely put these judges in check. It will put them where they should be and not trying to legislate from the bench. And that is something that we will be talking about. We have some judge races up and running. We have a special guest coming on at 7:30, Mrs. Mirsky. She reached out to me. We were having a conversation about a Facebook post, and I said, "You're more than welcome to come on the show and give us your viewpoint." I we Yeah, this is the sticky part of politics that doesn't really go over well. When everybody says that, oh, we're not going to go negative, we're going to be nice, we're going to be clean, we're going to do all this stuff, and then and again, this is just the facts that this photograph came out, and it was heavily edited, where it was edited because I played it on the show. It was edited. It looked like two people standing there, and then but the original photo came out, and it was not edited, and that's the reason why it was edited. Miss Mirsky was in a photograph here with "Diversity hurts no one, you stupid orange." And of course, the Erie's best and most highly promoted racist in the city of Erie, Miss Jasmine. So I think that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And it needs to be talked about because we want to make sure that we get her side of the story. I mean, I can research it online, I can do it, but she reached out to me and said, "Can I come on the show? Can we talk about?" Absolutely, I don't have a problem with that. So she will be on the show at 7:30, and we will go from there. So again, we want to have both sides of the story. We want to be fair. We want to be balanced. I've got some questions for her, and I know she will. She made a nice little post on my thread, so I commend her for reaching out that way. But now she wants to come on the show and make it official. So we are going to do that at 7:30. So yeah, again, a lot of things going on. I think Florida, they have a new thing to protest now. They are protesting construction workers that are building a ICE detention facility on an old abandoned uh, military airbase. We can't have them here. We can't have them there. They have a fit, so they're like, well, let's just put them in Florida. It's abandoned airbase. We can mobilize this. We can put it. It's basically modular tents. It's a mobile city. We can modulate, put them up modular, and have this done really quick. And that's what they do. But of course, the Democrats don't like that because it's ICE, and they want ICE defunded because they want havoc and chaos uh, throughout the country. Look what's happening in New York. Look at the backstory that's coming out with this fine gentleman that got the Democrat nomination for mayor in the city of New York. Guy's been a citizen for 7 years, and now they're looking at his paperwork to see if he is actually legit. Well, we got some we got some videos to talk about that, and showed some of his antics, and that's really, that really sends the power to the people on the one video we have, his entanglement with I don't know, it was a New York State trooper or whatever. I mean, it was just absolutely disgusting. But that's basically what the Democrat Party does. They hate law enforcement. It's tough for even our local law enforcement to just be my bedtime. No, I get you, Brenda. And it's so this is just the things that are compiling, and people are like, there's watch social media. They're like, well, maybe we should just let let New York have it, let it take over, and let it burn to the ground. Well, New York, I hate to steal this line, is too big to fail. It is it is one of the heartbeats of this country where business is the number one business. And we can't just let it fail and go into disarray. I mean, you figure our American history is rooted through New York with Ellis Island and the Statue of Liberty. And how many of our relatives, our families that actually, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, I'm stuck here. Oh, yeah, immigrated legally to Ellis Island, legally. And that's all my beef is. Please do it legally. We are a country of immigrants. And of course, the left has got their, well, this is stolen land. Well, technically, we bought it. We probably got a deed for it. And technically, if anybody should be mad, you should be mad at Mexico because they kind of stole it from the Native Americans. Then after they claimed it, they sold it. So that's I, I'm not a lawyer, but man, that sounds like receiving stolen property. I mean, they sold something that they stole. Just world according to Brian. That and $2 will get you a cup of coffee nowadays. Yeah, no Hope. You're absolutely right. Which part of legal don't they people grasp? Hi, Kim. You're live.
Well, hello. I just wanted to call early since Mrs. Mursky's calling.
Yes, thank you.
I want to put a shout out there to everybody for next Saturday. Friday, the 4th, I think. Yeah.
Friday the 4th.
Anyway, the 4th. Yeah. Anybody who wants to participate in the parade with us, come on out. We're going to line up between 12:30 and 1 at Iroquois High School.
In the back.
We are looking for candy donations. So please and thank you. If you need a t-shirt, get a hold of my Brenda. She can get you a t-shirt for you. And then we also are doing the bowling fundraiser July 20th. And we're still looking for people to donate baskets or gifts for the American auction.
Absolutely. And again, this 4th of July parade in Lawrence Park, it's huge. I mean, every fire department, everything you can imagine will be there. It's a great time. It's a great crowd. Everyone's happy and excited, and everybody has a good time. If you want to be a walker and come with us, grab a box of Dum Dums or Tootsie Rolls, because this stuff that does add up. I mean, it's easy to drop a couple $100 for candy. And we don't want to be there's that candidate didn't give any candy out. You don't want to be that girl.
Like when we ran out at St. Patrick's, we thought we were so well supplied, and we ran out in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, well, because I had never ever I was never in the St. Patrick's Day parade in Erie. I never did it.
I should have remembered when I did it with Mike Kelly, and we ran out even then. And Miss Melanie bought like 10 big boxes of candy.
There's just so many.
I got with the rain.
Yeah, it was when I pulled up the stage because they wanted us early to stage at our spots. It was pouring, and when you guys showed up, it stopped.
I know, it was awesome, and we will have our regular walkers there. And then I wanted to let people know I've gotten a lot of text messages and stuff when me and Brian and Brenda are going to start doing our trailer gigs down at the docks. And Brian and I talked about it. We'll have to get a hold of the calendar, but we will be starting those up again after the 4th of July.
Oh, absolutely. And we'll have handouts, we'll have cards, QR codes, a couple yard signs, if we're in the city, we have, Kim's only got a couple handfuls, so we want to keep them and use them very, very smart. But it's a good opportunity to put boots on the ground. And actually we always had people come up and talk to us and say, hey, who's this candidate? Who's this guy? Well, that's that guy standing there. Who's that girl? That's the girl standing right over there. So it's a really, get out, at grips and grins, shake the people, get some selfies, have a nice day, move on. And we'll be doing voter registration. It was a huge popular thing we did. We had the paper mail-in ballot, applications for voter registration, which is the same thing as you can get it. It's all the same. I think it was like number 12. Right. You can register to get that. So it's just an issue of, it's multifaceted. Get you registered. If you want a mail-in ballot, that's fine. We're doing really good. The numbers are starting between the D's and R's are shrinking. And I tell people every time you burn a building down, do you think that really makes Democrats want to vote for you guys.
Exactly. So well said.
Doesn't. It
And
doesn't.
and like I told Brian, guys and girls, I've been getting a text message and a phone call twice a week from Scott Pressler, and he says, he goes, Mama, the numbers are going up. We've got this. He goes, you and Shank are really killing it. So I mean, stay to the grindstone. Don't give up. We are going to make history this time. We are going to have Republicans elected, and to spread the word, you got to get up and vote. And we are looking for any and all suggestions on how to get people to actually show up at the polls or use their mail-in ballots.
Yeah, I mean, I know I'm not a big fan of the mail-in ballots. I get it. My mom and dad use them. When the system works great, it's great. But of course, the Democrat-controlled county council and the board of elections, they got low bid. They had a bad contractor, and they were sending 3, 4 mail-in ballots out. Of course, Democrat-controlled. They love to be in charge, but when they're in charge, they can't be in charge because it's a total disaster.
Well, look who's running it: Drexel the Prexel and Rockhead Copeland.
I know. I get it. I totally get it. And you get what you pay for. And then when you spend over $200,000 on a candidate, you think you should get top shelf product, but you don't. They could even get through the first election that they had on their agenda. They screwed that up because they hired the wrong company. And I guess must be a Democrat thing, because when Mary Reddy was there, she pushed for this same company, and we were able to sidetrack it. And I don't know, hire a local contractor from Erie County, not in
Oh my
Ohio, not in
God.
New York, right here in Erie County. And it was in Northeast. We had a couple little snafus, but it was nothing that we couldn't fix, and it was fixed right now. It
Right.
wasn't like, oh Jesus, we got caught sending out 4 duplicate mail-in ballot not applications, actual ballots.
Well
So,
said.
I just
Well
shrugged my head.
said. And they ran on transparency. Drexel and Copeland, we're going to be transparent. Really? Because if you were, then you would let a senior Republican and a senior Democrat be in charge of elections instead of 2 juniors that don't know what they're doing.
No, the Republicans were pushed off to the side. They have zero role in county government on any of the chairs. Neither one of them. Ellen Showerman, the most senior council person, wasn't wasn't given anything to do. She's a councilman. She does her job. She represents her district, but no chairs, no vice chairs, nothing. So they talk about transparency. Well, they're transparent because they wanted to control it, and then they pissed and moaned when I was a 2-term, and then they turn around and do the same thing. But that's okay. It's okay when they
Right.
do it.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Right. What was Scatella's little statement when
Oh, to the
to the
to the
victors?
winner of for the victor of war go the spoils.
Yeah, that works really, really well. Yeah, Donna, you're absolutely right. Kickbacks, baby. I totally get it.
Yeah.
I fought to keep Erie County tax dollars in Erie County. These Democrats are shipping it out to New York. Gee, let me put my shock face on that the Democrats of Erie County are shipping Erie County tax dollars to that commie state, and it's going to go down the toilet here real quick unless the Republicans pull their head out of their backside and vote this clown out.
Right. And who's to say, probably one of those groups where they got the dark money donations
Oh,
to get
absolutely.
$250,000 to get you taken out.
I didn't even get a free pen for volleying to get these guys this local contract here in Northeast. I didn't get a free pen.
Right.
All I got was
because
grief.
because Republicans do not cheat, and they just can't get that concept. And that's why I truly believe God is watching us. He will get us through this next election. And guys and girls, I'm telling you now, we just got to get out there, get people to vote, because God's on our side. And don't forget, these little tiny elections, they're not the big glamorous ones, but these are what are going to affect your pocketbook. And I'm telling you, if you don't go out there and vote, you can expect a tax increase for your county and your city. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah. I just got a text from the chat room from Gwen. Hi, from the kayak in Lake Erie. Put your phone down and pay attention, Gwen. I love you guys. Appreciate your support. Don't drop your phone in Lake Erie.
Yes, please tell her not to drop the phone in Lake Erie. I love my Gwen.
Yeah, I bless her little
And
hearts.
everything.
Yeah, her and the
All
kids.
right. Well, I'm gonna go now, so that way Mrs. Mursky can get on the phone and explain herself. And yeah, like I sent that picture to Jeremy, and I said, okay, when you win, you can thank Shank the Tank for this. And and like he said, I go, now, aren't you glad you went and marched in a parade with me instead of showing up there? I go, sometimes I know what I'm doing.
I know, we get it. Well, like I always say, a dead clock's right twice a day.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks for your
Absolutely.
call.
There was a time I call you and Brendan and ask you what I should be doing.
Or text 5,000 texts a day.
All right. Well, you guys have a blessed Sunday. I'm happy to talk to everybody. And remember, 4th of July, let's all get together, celebrate America's 250th birthday, and go march in a parade.
Exactly.
Bye-bye.
Bye. It's the way I look at it, it's the original no king day. You know, the Democrats want to make this, there's no king. We don't have kings. That's why we kicked them out a long time ago. And when we signed the Declaration of Independence, no King Day. And of course, they do other protests, and I thank them all personally for coming to Erie, spending their money to buy gas and wood and markers, and draw all their signs, and we appreciate you, winning, help the economy, stimulate the economy. Thank you again. Hashtag we're winning. And but it's ridiculous. It's their right to protest, and I get that. But it's the most ridiculous, probably one of the dumbest things I've ever seen anybody protest is no King Day. Who's the king? There is no king. It's called the Constitution. We're a republic. We're not a monarchy. Now, you want to talk about monarchies? Let's talk about how Kamala Harris was just installed as the president. Not one vote, not one single vote, but they accuse us and President Trump to want to be a king. No, when you take a person and put them in that position with zero say of we the people, that sounds more like a king to me. But hey, we're only Republicans and we're always wrong, and I get that. But it's okay to install their people. But you imagine if the tables were turned, Lord, I cry, they would be screaming. Well, they are screaming foul, and they are running around with signs and assaulting people and burning Teslas. And you notice the media has not been covering any of the shenanigans going on. You have to go on the internet, and you have to find the small, people like us that are doing the reporting. Because I think the Democrat Party came together. Okay, guys, let's have a meeting. Come on, we gotta get this figured out. Okay, media, stop it. You're not helping. People don't want to see their buildings being burned again. We learned that thing over the George Floyd thing that ended very badly for us. So yeah, the no king thing, absolutely ridiculous. I support their rights, but have a mission. And now they're keep your hands off Iran as they carry Iranian flags through the cities of of the United States. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely, and it's funny. I had this video, and this guy he did the research, and he did a list. He went down all the major countries in the world, and about if you enter their country illegally, you don't get free college and free health care and free food and free lodging. You go to jail immediately. Now, I understand, due process. I get that. We've been beat to death with due process, and we get it. There is no due process in these countries. You go to jail. You go to jail for a long time. What was it? I think, of course, Russia had the worst penalties. It's like almost a life sentence, or it could be a death sentence, depending on what you were doing when you were sneaking into the country. Oof. Whoops a daisy. Yeah, you don't get a Obama phone. You don't. So this is why it's just absolutely, it's the hypocrisy is absolutely just mind blowing, and that's why the Democrat Party is shrinking. Their voter registration is falling off. And you can see the desperation on what they're doing to retain these seats and try to get new seats. And we totally get that. And that's not going to work. I just sit back like, you know, Kennedy says, he goes, look, we're just going to implement a new policy. That new policy is let them talk, and then his comment about the shampoo bottle that will go down after he is gone from this earth. That will probably be engraved on his tombstone. Probably one of the funniest quotes I have ever seen or heard is about the directions on a shampoo bottle. Let's see. Donna, do you think these countries would promote a pride parade? No, you would be hung or stoned to death. I watched a street reporter, someone like myself or you out there, they're at a pride parade and they're like, "Hey, you think you guys are talking about, free Palestine. Do you think you can do what you're doing here?" She goes, "Oh, absolutely not. We can't." So, but we have that right here under the First Amendment. Thank you, Jesus, and our forefathers for doing that. But it's the hypocrisy is like you're promoting a country that won't even accept you for who you are. Well, that's why our forefathers did what they did because they wanted religious freedoms. They wanted the First Amendment, freedom of speech. Pretty smart. Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. And of course, that I had a video. It didn't make the cut today. The guy was talking about, well, maybe if we had all this really, if it was hard to get these firearms and all this fun stuff, we wouldn't have so many shootings. I forget the Pennsylvania firearms guidebook is about that thick. It's about 2 inches thick. I had this Matthew Corey, thank you. I finally caught it live. Well, we're again, we're always, this is a moving thing. There's nothing set in stone here. We don't say, okay, this is it. We originally started out at Wednesdays at 9. People are like, "Oh, right, that's kind of late. We're getting kind of old." All right, we back it up to 8. People are like, can we do a weekend one? I said, Saturdays are tough. I work a lot of weekends. Sundays are a little easier. We tried for 3 o'clock, mixed results. So then now we're here at 7. I think that will help some people out and get everybody fed. They've been to church, they've been fed, the kids are tired, they're playing Xbox, and you guys can sit down and watch the show. So yeah, I mean, we try to do that. Well, thanks. But that, Matt, thank you. You made my day. I'll put that on the big screen. So it's recorded for prosperity on the big screen. Matthew Corey, yes, I finally caught it live. Well, I'm still not that great looking of a guy recorded. It's just now you get to see it live and, take our phone calls live and go from there and go through the text messages. And that's what this is about is the live interaction that we get to have with the text messaging. Whatever, I'm here for it. Thanks so much for making it happen. You guys make this happen. I don't always call it my show. I try to refer to it as our show because if it was just my show, I would be sitting here talking to myself. You people make the show and your likes, your shares. I mean, we were on YouTube. We were tweaking our YouTube channel a little bit to get that up and running a little bit better. We did some research according to YouTube is we need to come up with some shorter videos. The long videos are good. The shorter videos are better. So we subscribe to an AI company that we just give them Brenda gives them the video and it picks the best topic and cuts it down to 60 seconds or something. And I tell you what, we were sitting here watching, we posted them up. We can go to the dashboard and we can watch in real time the amount of people hitting the shows. Oh, I was absolutely amazed at real-time graphics. Every minute it would re-update how many people were watching the little boots on the ground minis. So we're gonna have to keep doing that because that's where we're really getting the traction as the minis. And then if they want more content, they just go back to the page, and we go from there. So the minis are working good. We subscribe to a AI company very inexpensive, a monthly fee, of course. Everyone's got to get, but it's all AI. They edit it. They don't change anything. They don't change any of the verbiage, or it's not words that we tell them to say. No, I said that, and it's just nice little shorties. And they work really, really well. And the 60-minute ones appear to be where they really get a lot of traction because that interactive, it was like a speedometer telling us how good we're doing with our lives. Yeah. Well, hello, Miss Mirsky. Welcome to Boots on the Ground Live. You're live with the gang.
How are you?
I'm doing fine. How's your family doing today?
It's a beautiful day. I hope everybody got a chance to enjoy it.
Yeah, that's why we moved it from 3 to 7 because people
Yeah.
are like, I don't want to miss going outside and everything. But well, let's just jump right into this thing, boots on the
Okay.
ground, and it's an open mic night, so I will spin it over to you and say you can have your opening remarks.
Yeah, I mean, I really appreciate the opportunity to just call in and speak to you and speak to your listeners. As most of you know, I'm a candidate for judge in the Erie County Court of Common Pleas. I know, obviously, that there is a topic that everybody wants to talk about, so I'm happy to talk about that. Or I'm also happy to talk about myself, my campaign, whatever you want to get, whatever topic you guys want to start with first.
Yeah, and that's great. And like I said, you and I have had some great conversations at this
Sure.
event, that event, this event, and everything. But that photograph that popped up, I mean, that's the
Yep.
white elephant in the room.
For sure.
I originally had that photograph. It was edited, and you were cropped out, but it was still. I found the whole thing. Ms. Flores, a duly elected city council person, standing next to a guy basically saying, pardon my French, fuck Trump, and that's not very uh, warm and fuzzy. And then
Mhm.
the original photograph came out, and you were standing there. So guess what? Now the target comes on you.
Absolutely. And, the thing I think that you and I have always had great conversations about is like there's no BS. We have a great back and forth. We understand that we have different perspectives on things, and that's okay. And I appreciate, obviously the photograph is something that's been troubling to me, and I understand that it's troubling to a lot of people, and I can absolutely understand why. And somebody I think pointed it out in the comments today, that obviously judges should not be involved in anything political, and they could not have been more correct. Judges obviously are not permitted to be, political in any way, which is why we cross file, which is why, we need to stay away from any political, positions on things. That's why a judge's race is a little bit different because we can't really take a side or take a position on things. I just want to come clean. I'm fully transparent. I was at the Juneteenth rally celebration, and I was talking with a lot of people. I was there with my kids. I was there with my husband. There were some people that were chatting with me. We were all kind of gathering together. Perry Square can be a chaotic place at the best of times, and when you have two kids running around, I had one eye on them and one eye on the conversations I was having. Gentleman came up to me. He congratulated me for winning the nomination. Told me that he, was happy about the result. And we were just chatting, and he offered to he asked me if I would take a picture with him.
Right.
When I was looking at him, I was not looking at his shirt. And I can say that all day, and and anybody can think she's lying. I'm really not lying. It's really the 100% honest truth. I did not look at his shirt because when I have a conversation with somebody, I try to look them in the eye and not at the clothes that they're wearing. That being said, when I became aware of it, and it was honestly nothing that I was aware of until the picture was posted on Facebook, and it should absolutely be something that I'm more aware of. I know that everybody is like, well, her husband's in politics and so she's been involved. That's true, but I've never been a candidate before. And when you're a candidate, you have to be much more aware of what's going on. And what happened in that situation was I was not aware of who I was, who I was taking a picture with. And I think anybody that knows me knows that that's not a position that I stand for, that I'm very respectful. I'm respectful of people who are in office, but I'm just respectful of the people that I deal with, regardless of our positions on things or our differences in positions on things. And so I apologize for taking my eye off the ball and not paying attention to what I should have been paying attention to. And I just want to be able to clear the air, regardless of whether people accept this explanation or not. I just think that that is what I want people to know. But I also want people to know that you know I am a candidate for judge. I am endorsed by several organizations, but neither Leanne nor I was endorsed by Erie County United, who is, the more progressive wing of the party. And typically, when an endorsement comes out, it's because they believe that the candidate aligns most with their beliefs. And the candidate that has been endorsed by Erie County United is actually my opponent. And so it's important for me to know that where I stand is middle of the road. I appreciate anybody and what their opinion is, regardless of whether or not they agree. And when somebody's in my courtroom, it doesn't matter to me if they're a Democrat. It doesn't matter to me if they're a Republican, an independent. It doesn't matter to me how you vote, because it's not important to why you're in the courtroom. And when I'm elected judge of Erie County, it doesn't matter to me what you stand for. What matters to me is upholding the Constitution, making sure the laws are executed fairly and impartially, and making sure that justice is done. And that's what I stand for, regardless of what picture somebody sees.
Oh, I totally understand that. And the biggest thing that I literally had a problem with that photograph was, the whole guy in the middle thing. He's irrelevant in the big picture. He really is, in my book.
Sure.
My problem is with Jasmine Flores. Now, I've been crystal clear, and I don't pull any punches with her racist rants on at city council members, and then her public display at a council meeting, on social media, on the news, calling Republicans red hats, members of the KKK. There is zero excuse. This is not on you. I'm just saying,
Mm.
unfortunately, what happens is you are guilty by association. Now, Miss Jasmine's story has gone viral. I mean, there's several YouTubers have grabbed that story of what she said in that meeting, and she I don't think she's going to get reelected. I mean, I don't have any stats. I hope the city of Erie can look past that. I'm a female and I'm Puerto Rican. That is not a qualification for a job. It's not. But how you feel towards other people, the other party, the other opposing side, are saying that because you wear a red hat, you're a member of the KKK. Well, somebody needs to go back to school. And she really, her thing is about people need to be educated. That's a really long sling for her. She needs to really understand her history of the KKK. She might not be quite so quick on that. So that's where you're getting your heat from, is the fact that yes, she is a Democrat, and let's be honest. I mean, brutally honest. You've been a member of the Democrat Party for quite a long time. Your husband's a Republican. I'm sorry, is a Democrat. And you were you were a hired gun for the Democrat Party as their attorney. You were committee people. I mean, we talked about that because that came out on the show. Both of those issues came out on the show that, and people they're struggling to buy that you can sit on that bench and be partisan when your whole career has been a Democrat. And with just came down with the Supreme Court. I don't need to explain this to you. You're the attorney in the room. That's a tough sell. I mean, people are not buying it. And I had Jeremy on here, and my question to him was, and I was we were at a function together, and I was standing right there when Cliff Smathers asked you, "Are you going to be able to legislate? Are you going to legislate from the bench?" Of course, you had a great answer, but this is why you're getting the heat. Flores is a member of the Democrat Party. I get it. I get it. You guys are, at a function together, but this is where people are starting to really question, the fact that you can be impartial. You can come up with a great speech and say, yeah, I'm going to be impartial, but your track record says a different story. In my perspective, my small little family here that's, getting bigger and bigger, they want to make sure that we don't have any shenanigans that just happened across this country where lower court judges are setting policy and trying to override. I know you can't personally get into this mess, but it sends a tone for judges, and we want to make sure that our judges are crystal clear. That's where you're getting your heat from.
I think it's fair for you to question. I think it's absolutely necessary that people question people that run for office and people that want to be elected leaders, because what we need in this country is people who are willing to stand up, but also are willing to say, listen, I make mistakes just like the next person. And in the photograph that we're talking about, that was a mistake on my part. And I'm not going to speak about Miss Flores. She's her own person. She has her own beliefs. And I don't believe necessarily that um, my campaign, absolutely, but my personal beliefs align with hers at all. But that's for her to speak on. That's not for me to speak on. What I will speak on is a little bit. You're a little bit incorrect in that my career has not been as a hired gun for the Democratic Party. I was a volunteer for county council, which meant that my job was to make sure that people had the right to vote. When people came to the polls and had a problem with their ballots or exercising their right to vote, the question was not, are you a Democrat? Because I'll only stick up for you. The question was, what's the problem? And let me help you try to exercise your right to vote in the best of my capacity. And when all of the problems with the ballots happened last year, we went to court as people who were making sure, as attorneys who were making sure that people had the right to vote, not based on their political party, based on the fact that they were registered voters of Erie County. And we wanted to make sure that as many ballots got cast. And that's where I don't want to make any misconceptions about that. My job was to make sure and with a lot of other attorneys, that people were allowed to vote. As a public defender, it doesn't matter to me what party you're registered to. When you come to me as a private attorney, doesn't matter what party you're registered to. What matters to me is why we're going to court. What are the facts? Either
Yeah.
the best solution for you, or how do I stand up and make sure that your rights are protected in court?
Okay.
And as a judge, that's what you have to do, not legislate from the bench. And I've given that answer because it's the truth. And I'm sitting here telling you the truth. I didn't have to address this.
Nope.
I didn't have to take,
No, I agree.
but what
with
I
you.
am doing is saying, listen, I'm transparent. And if that's not a good enough answer, that's okay too, because I'm here to serve all of the citizens of Erie County as a judge on the bench. That's where it is. That's where it stands. And that is period, end of sentence. Doesn't matter to me what party you're registered to.
And that's the way it is. That's the way it should be. And unfortunately, the sins of the country are falling down on your shoulders. Really, because you're in an election cycle that is
Sure.
probably one of the most crazy, historic I have ever seen in my 61 years of just us and them. And that's why people are really digging their heels into the ground and saying, we want to make sure 100% before we cast that vote. And I appreciate the point about Jeremy, and I agree with you 100% on his endorsements. I did question a couple of them after, of course, we did our research on it. But here's a question in the room. It says,
Sure.
you have multiple pictures with person who refers to Republicans as the new KKK. She calls us white privileged. Are you exempt as a Democrat? It's just it's not me. It's a question in the room. I could read it again. I know it's
Yeah. Can you? I need to think about that. I need to
I
think about the
understand.
question for a second. I'm not sure I understood it.
Yeah. You have multiple pictures with a person who refers to Republicans as the new KKK. She calls us white privileged. Are you exempt as a Democrat? That's just the question.
Am I exempt from white privilege as a Democrat?
Yes, that's basically the essence of the question.
Absolutely not. I mean, I think what's important about understanding privilege and understanding the concept of white privilege is understanding that as as not a person of color, I do enjoy a certain amount of privilege. And I think that in my career, what I've tried to do is use the privilege that I have to try to stand up for those who don't have voices, who are marginalized, who come from backgrounds where they don't have support, where they don't have education, where they don't have the support system that they need to make sure that when they go to court, their rights are upheld. So I absolutely don't. I don't think that I'm exempt from it because I'm a Democrat. I think that we need to understand it, understand where the problems are, and do our part to reach out and make sure that the people that need us have us, so that they can, so that whatever marginalizes them or whatever makes them feel as though they're not being heard, they can be heard. And again, in my courtroom, everybody's going to get a chance to be heard. And you might not like what you hear. You might not like my decision. but you will be heard and you will be listened to. I'm not necessarily sure if that answers the person's question. I'm happy to answer a follow-up question if it doesn't.
Yeah, and like I said, people are just texting in the room, and I'm picking the ones that have some
That's okay.
good meat and potatoes because I know you can't see it. It's just
Yeah,
I can
no,
see it.
that's okay.
Another question is she willing to condemn Jasmine Flores's post? Pretty straightforward question
Am I willing to condemn her post?
about referring to.
City council, and I'm not able to take a position because, again, I can't take a position. However, I think people handle things differently. Would I have handled it the same way? Probably not. And everybody's entitled to their opinion, just like everybody's entitled to their opinion about me. I know your viewers, or I'm sorry, your listeners have an opinion about me just as much as the next person's entitled to their opinion. Do I agree with how she handled that situation? No. Would I have handled it differently? Yes. Or handled it at all? I don't know. But I also don't come from Jasmine's background. I don't come from the way that she views the world. I don't come from I don't come from her family or anything that's shaped the way that she views the world. And I think that it's important, especially as a judge, to understand that how I feel when I'm on the bench isn't how I need to make my decisions. When you're a judge, you have to be able to see things, or you have to understand that you can't make judgments based on the way you view the world. You have to understand that everybody comes from different backgrounds, everybody comes from different circumstances, and everybody makes decisions differently. And the way that you do that is to step back, listen to all of the facts, and make a fair judgment that's impartial and applicable with the law and the Constitution.
Oh, I totally agree with you, and that's what we, as And here's the thing: you and I have had this conversation. I was a
Yeah.
Democrat. I was a union member, card-holding Democrat for many years until the Democrat Party started to kind of like splinter, and part of the Democrat Party stayed kind of in the center-ish, and then the other side just went total left. I mean, totally left.
Sure.
And that's where I actually, when I voted for Trump the first time, I was a Democrat. And then when I ran for county council, I had to change. I changed my parties to Republican. So people just people are very itchy right now, and I mean itchy like nervous, especially when they see two hotshot judges. You guys have great family names, and I've seen a lot of criticism coming your way because your husband is a state rep and now
Sure.
you're biting for a judgeship. I
Mhm.
mean, that's easy for I'm just giving you what I've read.
Yeah.
That those lines have to be
Sorry.
crystal clear between the two worlds.
100%. And I think I've joked about this with you, is that one of the best things about being elected to judge is that I get to step back from anything political,
Right.
which is great because I don't enjoy this process. The way that you get elected to being a judge is to go through the political process, but then you actually can't be political upon being elected, which is absolutely the way that it should be. And Pennsylvania does it a little weird. Like, we elect our judges. A lot of states appoint their judges. And I think it's like, again, it's everybody's responsibility to question the people that want to run for the offices, not only because we represent you, but because you're paying us. Your tax dollars are directly impacted, by the people that you elect. And I feel like, you know, I've tried to do a good job in maintaining, a pretty neutral stance. I'm not going to take a position. I'm not going to come out and talk about other people's politics or other people's actions. And that's the way that it should be. But absolutely, when you go to the polls on November 4th, I want you to have done your homework. I want you to see who is the most qualified person to sit on the bench. Is it the person who has 16 years of a diverse background and a diverse practice experience and somebody who's been recommended by her peers to serve in this position? Or is it the other person? That's for you to decide. That's why America's great, because we do get that choice and because we do have the responsibility to question the people that are seeking those offices. And I understand that there's a lot of, you know, drama going on at the higher levels of court, but at the common pleas level of court, it is the boots on the ground, to borrow your phrase.
That's okay.
It is literally the people, that the judges that are seeing the community, that are judging the cases, that have people who are there for criminal offenses, divorces, custody matters. That's what it is. And you want the person that's dealt with those types of cases.
Yeah, and I totally agree, and I agree with you. And there's a lot of questions. I'm only kind of like really
Yeah.
cherry picking the best ones because there's a lot of them in the room. You can watch the show on the when it's at, when we're done, and you can kind of see where the questions were going. This will be the last question that
Sure.
came out of the room because I know you got a family to take care of. I get that. There's bedtime and jammies in bed, and it's time to get them washed. I get that. So this will be the last question out of the room. um, how does she feel about the fact that she came into the Republican only events, but her opponent was kicked out of the Democrat events? I did hear a lot about that. You and I were at Republican events and you were there. But I spoke to Miss Orton that she was literally asked to leave some of the Democrat only deals. I mean, it's really kind of like an open end question. How do you feel about that? How that was handled?
I absolutely welcomed the opportunity to speak to Republicans, just like I welcome the opportunity to speak to any voter who wants to hear me out. Uh, I don't, I honestly don't have any control or even any knowledge of Miss Orton being asked to leave any Democratic events. I'm not really sure which ones they're referring to,
Right.
or which ones she was referring to. Democratic events that I was a part of, well, I guess I only saw her at the Erie County United Forum where we were, and she was there as well. I honestly don't remember her at other events, but I'm obviously not a committee person or in committee leadership, which is really who would control that. But um, I, as far as I know, Republicans have actually been welcomed to Democratic events, at least in their history. We've had Elizabeth Hertz at a lot of our events. We've had just a few weeks ago, we had Mr. Leitner at an event, even though he's the Republican nominee, and he was welcomed in the room. So I really feel like if we stop seeing people as us versus them, that's the first step. And I really, notwithstanding the photo that we're all here to talk about, I really do try to, ha- when I speak to people, have them listen to me for who I am and what I bring to the table and why I'm the right person for the office that I'm seeking. And I really hope that people will just give me an opportunity if they want to speak to me. Anybody who's listening tonight, you are absolutely free to contact me offline on my Facebook page, wherever you want to, because I will answer your questions. I want you to get to know me and I want you to walk away saying, you know what? I don't like that picture. I don't like what it is. But you know what? I respect that she was transparent about it. I respect that she answered my question about it. And maybe I'll give her a thought when I go to the polls on November 4th.
Gotcha.
Again, it's your choice. I absolutely encourage everybody to do their homework. Please get out and vote on November 4th. And I do. Brian, I always enjoy talking to you. You and I have never had a bad
Nope.
conversation.
Never.
And like I said, I apologize for people who really were offended by the photo. I get it. I understand how you feel. I understand. And like I said, the only thing that I'm going to say is typically I don't take my eye off the ball twice. And so that's the biggest lesson learned in all of this is, you know what, you always got to be aware and you always have to keep your eye on the ball, especially now.
Oh, I totally agree. Whenever I was out in the crowd and someone said, "Hey, can we get a picture?" I always asked to see the picture to make sure I didn't have like one eye closed or I didn't have my hair sticking straight up like a mohawk. Just to make sure because that image is forever, and you can get mad at it
100
all day long, but it's stuck with you forever. So you, you know
100%. And again, like I said, this is a misstep on my part. And like I said, I usually only have to learn a lesson once. So uh, which
I
is maybe one of my redeeming qualities. I don't know. We'll see.
Gotcha. Well, I gotcha. Like I said, I don't want to hold you up for a long
Yep.
time. This is a prime family time. I totally get that. I appreciate you coming on the show. I appreciate you
Yep.
clarifying that up a little bit. Thanks for taking the question. There's a lot of questions that came through the room, but I didn't want to. We could be here all night. And I don't want to do that to
Sure.
you. But you can watch it on the replay. That you can see the questions that people have, and that'll give you a better, kind of like a finger on the pulse of what the left is kind of. I'm sorry, the right's kind of thinking when they kind of know what side of the street you've been on and they want to make sure when they throw that vote down that they've got the right person and the right judge that will represent us, we the people, the best they can.
Well, I mean, it's funny because, you said you were a Democrat until you turned Republican. I was actually a Republican before
Yes.
I became a Democrat. And that was honestly because I moved to the city. When I moved into the city, there's a lot of times when you don't have the opportunity to vote for, offices and that aren't, just traditionally we've had a lot of Democratic candidates. And I really, one of the things that I truly treasure about being an American, but also being a woman, is my right to vote. And I think that that's the most important thing. And my voting record speaks for itself, and that it's 100% participation. And I think participating in the process is so important. And typically, when I vote, I look at the person and what they bring to the table and what do they stand for. And that hasn't always been with the Democratic Party. So, like I said, I mean, like a lot of people feel, you vote for the person, not the party. And that's what I encourage people to look at in every election.
And that's a great segue to say thank you for coming on board. Thanks for spending the last almost half hour with us, kind of clearing
Absolutely.
through some of the mud up. And like I said, I'm not Howard Stern. I don't beat people up. I don't. That we all have to live in this community together. And I still have to see your husband, and he's been working out. He's looking pretty buff. I don't want to fight the
Yeah,
guy. But no, thanks for coming out. Tell Bob and the kids I said hello. We
I
appreciate your time.
appreciate it. 100%. Anytime.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye
Have a
now.
good night. Bye-bye.
Well, there you got it, right from the horse's mouth. Like I said, I had there were some great questions. I couldn't get to all of them. I'm sorry, because you know what, we do want to keep the show moving. We don't want to keep it up to 10 o'clock, past my bedtime and Brenda's bedtime too. So, on that happy note, you heard Miss Mirsky say, if you have any questions, reach out to her. She is on social media. When I posted that picture, she did comment, and she did take responsibility for the content. Yeah, I'm paraphrasing, of course. Got to be careful when you're quoting a lawyer; they'll get you. So yeah, Brenda, how about a video, since we've been talking for the last hour?
The yeas are 51, the nays are 49. The motion is agreed to.
After a dramatic showdown that extended late into the night, President Trump's spending bill passed an important procedural hurdle to allow debate on his signature bill. Vice President J.D. Vance was on standby in the event he should need to cast a tie-breaking vote. But there were enough Republicans to move it forward, despite Republican Senators Rand Paul of Kentucky and Tom Tillis of North Carolina voting against it.
We have before us today a once-in-a-generation opportunity to deliver legislation to create a safer, stronger, and more prosperous America.
The legislation extends tax cuts from President Trump's first term, removes taxes on tips and overtime, and increases spending for defense and border security. Opponents of the bill argue it would make significant cuts to Medicaid and food stamp programs.
Well, yeah, then this Tillis guy just announced today that he is not running for re-election. And I got to tell you, I am hugely disappointed in Rand Paul. Here, I really like the guy. When he ran for president, I'm like, I get him. I mean, I get it. He was a doctor. He took a leave of absence, and he was helping with COVID patients, the very sick. I get that. I thought he was a decent guy, but I don't know if he's just butthurt and didn't get the shot that he wanted, and he's just been pushing against Trump all the way. So I'm very, very disappointed in him. This Tullis guy, it's all over social media today. He is not running for re-election. Yay. And it was nice to see the Republicans finally get it together and say, this will help the American people with the tips and the overtime. I know we've talked about the overtime. When I worked at the prison, we had a lot of overtime. You work all this overtime thinking you're getting a big, huge, fat check. Yep. They whack you higher at a higher rate and take more from you. So that will put so much more money into the economy. And again, hashtag still winning. Brenda, video, please.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Declaration of Independence proclaims God-given rights, and we intend to protect them. Working with people like you for over 50 years, preserving freedom and building a better tomorrow. Safeguarding the Constitution by limiting government power. We are restoring liberties, educating voters, and leading the freedom movement. Join with us. United, we will defend our rights. We are all Americans. We are the John Birch Society.
Another week in the books here at the White House, and let's break it all down in this week's MAGA Minute. President Trump started the week by completely and totally obliterating Iran's nuclear program and securing a peace deal between Israel and Iran. President Trump then traveled to the Netherlands to attend the annual NATO summit, where he secured a historic agreement for its members to raise defense spending to 5% of GDP. The S&P and the Nasdaq both hit all-time record highs on Friday morning, and summer gas prices have reached their lowest points since 2021. The Supreme Court also issued a landmark ruling ending nationwide injunctions by lower district court judges, putting a stop to activist judges who have stood between this administration and the safety and prosperity of the American people. President Trump also held an event here at the White House to showcase the One Big Beautiful Bill and the stories of everyday Americans who will see tangible life improvements as a result of this critical piece of legislation. This bill delivers on no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and many other key campaign promises the president made on the trail, and we expect to see this bill on the president's desk by July 4th. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week for One Big Beautiful MAGA Minute.
Well, there you go. The MAGA Minute. Hashtag still winning. It was so funny to watch the videos post our little gift we gave Iran, and all the little funny videos about it, and how many people are like, oh my God, this is World War III. I'm still waiting. Didn't happen, which of course that's what the Democrat Party does, is nothing but doom and gloom. And it's just anything that Trump does positive, it has to be turned into a negative. That's all they have. And I got to tell you, John Fetterman, I've been absolutely impressed with what he's been saying and what he's been doing. Where he's like, why would I want Trump to fail? He's our president. We have to make this work. He's there for the next 3.5 years. Unless the Democrats just keep throwing impeachment after impeachment after impeachment. There should be a rule that you can't just keep impeaching him when there's nothing there. And that impeachment was an absolute joke, because the Democrat Party got slapped hard. That it's nice to see that we have some elected Democrats that actually go, yeah, Obama did it. They all did it. But Obama was he was the worst offender of doing them all. But he gets a pass because he's a Democrat and he's Obama. But the minute Trump does it once in this term, World War III, bunch of baloney. Video, please.
I'm a journalist here in DC, and I'm here in the NBC Washington newsroom where we are unpacking these 5 big decisions that the Supreme Court made today. I'm just going to tell you which cases were decided and what the votes were, and a really basic look at what each case was about. We'll have more detail on a couple of those cases from a couple of our reporters, Ted Oberg and Dominique Moody. Later today, you can head to our profile for more. Let's get into it. First up is the biggest case for our audience in the DC area, Mahmoud v. Taylor. This case is related to the First Amendment, specifically freedom of religion. Parents in Montgomery County went to court to say that they believe their religious rights were violated when the school board did not allow an opt-out for people who objected to LGBTQ+ themed books being available in the elementary school classrooms. The court sided with those parents in a 6-3 decision, with these 3 justices, often called the liberal ones, dissenting from the majority. Dominique Moody will have more on this case later. Next up is a case with nationwide implications that will change how our legal system works. Trump v. Casa. This is the birthright citizenship case that you might have heard about. The court did not make a decision about President Trump's plan to end automatic birthright citizenship, which is a constitutional right. That birthright citizenship is still in place. But in a 6-3 decision, again with all 3 liberal justices dissenting, the court severely limited what's called a universal or nationwide injunction. Ending most of those injunctions means that judges in lower courts can't stop or block issues that impact the entire country, which changes how our legal system functions in a really big way. Ted Oberg will explain more about that later today. Also decided today, Kennedy v. Braidwood. This case was about a provision of the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, that required insurance providers to cover some preventative care. Preventative care includes things like HIV prevention drugs, but also cancer screenings. This was also a 6-3 decision, but in this case, 3 of the most conservative justices on the court dissented. Next case, FCC v. Consumers Research. In 1996, Congress passed a law setting up a fund that allowed the federal government to pay for things like internet services and access for people in lower income areas. The law also required telecommunications companies to submit payments to that fund to help subsidize the cost. The Supreme Court decided in a 6-3 vote, with 3 conservative justices dissenting, that that fund can continue to exist, and Congress did not overstep its authority with that law. Finally, the last case that I'll get into, and the last case the Supreme Court decided today, Free Speech Coalition v. Paxton. This case was about a Texas law requiring porn websites to ask for age verification from its visitors and users in an attempt to keep young people from accessing pornographic content online. The court decided that the law can stay in a 6-3 decision with the 3 liberal justices dissenting. Head to our profile for those other 2 videos that I mentioned on the first 2 cases and to NBCWashington.com for more information and the latest updates.
6-3, 6-3, 6-3, and 6-3. I'd have to have someone do some research when the last time they actually voted 9-0. That would probably when they ordered coffee or something, because they never agree on anything, ever. So to look at this Supreme Court decisions, it's always 6-3. I get it. I totally get it. Brenda, another video.
And since we're talking about integrity, I'm confused as to why my Republican colleagues aren't talking about the lack of integrity when it comes to the president's family's visas. Let me remind y'all that Melania, the first lady, a model, and when I say model, I'm not talking about Tyra Banks, Cindy Crawford, or Naomi Campbell level, applied for and was given an EB-1 visa. And what that stands for is an Einstein visa. Now, y'all that don't know, let me tell you how you receive an Einstein visa. You're supposed to have some sort of significant achievement, like being awarded a Nobel Peace Prize or a Pulitzer, being an Olympic medalist, or having other sustained extraordinary abilities and success in sciences, arts, education, business, or athletics. Last time I checked, the First Lady had none of those accolades under her belt. It doesn't take an Einstein to see that the math ain't mathin' here.
The math ain't mathin'? And she's a lawyer, allegedly. And I totally get it. And of course, as soon as you knew this was coming, that they can't get Trump, so they're going to come after the wife. And that's exactly the tactic the Democrats do. Love to play. It's all negative, 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 negative. Throw money at it, see what sticks. And that's why the Democrats' approval rating is right around the 20% mark. I mean, in Trump's approval rating, of course, depending on what entity you are getting your intel from, it's at a high on this news entity, or it's low on that entity. Well, we know that. Yeah. Mark, DI speechwriter for her. I'm sorry. I don't, and it's an act. I remember I watched a video of her when she was running for office. She was very prompt. Her language was lawyer talk, very articulate, very, very professional. Now she gets into office. Now she's doing the whole Kamala Harris. She changes her voice to talk to the people she's talking to, where if they're this type of person, they change their tone or their slang. Barack Obama was a huge, huge person that did a lot of that. At least, Trump is a great speech guy. Sometimes he stutter steps, very seldom. But this Crockett girl, I am so glad she was excited. She was gonna get chair of a chair that she wanted. She came in dead last because they didn't want that. I hope they run her for president. Please do. On the other hand, please don't do that. Next video, please.
No longer will we have rogue judges striking down President Trump's policies across the entire nation. No longer. Today, in the 6-3 opinion, Justice Barrett correctly holds that the district court lacks authority to enter nationwide or universal injunctions. These lawless injunctions gave relief to everyone in the world instead of the parties before the court. As the Supreme Court held today, they turned district courts into the imperial judiciary. Active liberal judges have used these injunctions to block virtually all of President Trump's policies. To put this in perspective, there are 94 federal judicial districts. 5 of those districts throughout this country held 35 of the nationwide injunctions. Think about that. 94 districts and 35 out of the 40 opinions with nationwide injunctions came from 5 liberal districts in this country. No longer. No longer. We
kind of talked about that when we had Miss Mirsky on about legislating from the bench and overstepping your bounds and what kind of judge you are. And I know on the county level, that's not really something that they would get into. However, we want to make sure when we cast our vote that we are casting our vote to the best qualified judges that are going to represent we the people. Again, I know there was a couple things that Jeremy was into that I am not a big fan of. However, that's what we have to do. You have to weigh your options, look at which direction they are coming from. And just because they are the Republican nominee doesn't make them a Republican. Because we have that scenario, and we talked about this happening on county council, where we have a Democrat full blown and has no problem about being a Democrat that is actually running as a Republican, but via a write-in ballot. So we have to be very, very careful. Do your research. We try hard to get it right. We don't always get it 100%, but we try to get it close. We do our research. We look at it. We try to verify the story. We played this video of Mr. Kevin Pastuca, and after this was taken, he literally attacked Brenton Davis. So yeah, there you go. So that's our Republican nominee. Don't vote for him. We love to say, vote red instead. Yeah, don't vote red for this guy. I almost said something bad. I'm gonna get in trouble. So yeah, video, please, Brenda.
In that room? No, absolutely not. I mean, everything I said is correct. It's how the American people feel. It's what we know to be a fact. It's all the evidence has been proven true. We have Jamie Raskin in there accusing us of worshiping Trump, worshiping as a convicted felon. He is a convicted. Well, yeah. So is George Floyd. And everybody, and you all too, the media worship George Floyd. Democrats worship George Floyd. There were riots burning down the fucking country over George Floyd. And Raskin is in there saying we worship him. Excuse me, let me correct you. And this is really important. I don't worship, I worship God. God. And Jesus is my savior. I don't worship President Trump. And I'm really sick and tired of the bullshit annex I have to deal with constantly from the Democrats. So that's what we just went through in there. And then they're sitting there, they can attack my character all day long. What's his face in there? Whoever was talking last was calling me insane. But yet we can't say, oh, they're attacking my character. Oh no, it's nonstop BS and annex. You want to know why? The Democrats don't have anything. They're responsible for the lockdowns, forced vaccinations, kids being forced to stay home, people committing suicide, and all the horrors that this country lived through during COVID. Fauci belongs in prison. He should be tried for mass murder, and he should be tried for crimes against humanity. That's how I feel after that hearing. That's how the American people feel.
Woo! Man, is she a pistol? And she's right. I totally get it. And that's where I think that Josh Shapiro, he had his fingers in it under the Governor Wolf regime. He was one of their he was their enforcer of all these bullshit COVID crap, and that's why I don't have a problem at taking a swing at any of our local state representatives. They're all Democrats. They all stayed right in step. They were good boys. They did exactly what they're told because they're not going to ruffle feathers and they're not going to get in trouble. And that's I told Mrs. Mirsky, I said, you know what? I like your husband. He does a great job. I think he does a pretty good job here. He takes care of the fire department. He takes care of the police department. I'm not happy how they gerrymandered him into Harbor Creek, and then he brings his Erie bullshit out here. And then we had Sonny, a Republican for 20 years. He retires. They gerrymandered. Mirsky gets pulls all the slackers out of Erie and carries them out of Harbor Creek. And then they all their bullshit lockdown COVID crap. And I watched an interview with Governor Wolf. Well, they asked him about it. He goes, well, maybe I was a little heavy-handed. No shit. And we talked about this once, and we'll talk about it again because Josh Shapiro needs to go. That 40% of the Erie small business failed under our state reps here in this area. Sorry, Mirsky, Bizarro, Harkins. They kept us locked down. And they crushed our local economy, and we're still recovering it, and they still need to be fired. Video, please. Now, before I play this video, I want to set this up. This gentleman is a former, I think he's a congressman. He was the gentleman that got caught on camera pulling the fire alarm to delay a very important vote. They charged him. They found him guilty. They censured him. He did not get reelected. The people of his district said that is bullshit. Now, this guy is on a rant, a crazed lunatic rant about how racist and why the black people are sick. So I'll go ahead and play.
Dealing with America's original sin and its disease of hate and racism towards black and brown people and sexism towards women and anti-LGBTQ sentiment. We are not dealing with that. Your colleagues in the Republican Party do not hold each other accountable when it comes to the racism that comes from the party on a consistent basis.
Congressman, I mean, where are you on
You can't be calm about this. I'm a black man in America. The reason why heart disease...
I'm white, I can't comment
Listen
on
to what I'm saying. The reason why heart disease and cancer and
racist.
obesity
I can't
and
comment
diabetes are bigger in the black community is because of the stress we carry from having to deal with being called the N-word directly or indirectly every day. If your colleagues would listen and try to learn and engage and grow and stop being so hateful, we could have a better country.
Jamal.
But unfortunately, we're still here.
Jamal,
It's coming from one side.
Jamal, I feel your passion, and I understand where you're coming from, sincerely. I really, really do. It happens on both sides, Jamal. You might think it happens more on your side. Jamal, when I leave the show, Jamal, you should see my Twitter feed.
And they're acquitted. Rodney King, Abner Louima, Eric Gardner, Trayvon Martin, black cops in Memphis. It's not the same. And I don't want to qualify or quantify pain. That's not what I'm talking about. Everyone goes through pain. But the racism in this country is a disease that will destroy us.
I don't even know what to say. I saw that video and I just went, diabetes is higher in the black community because of the N-word. I can't even try to put the correlation there together. I watched this video a couple times, you know, no, I get it. I mean, I get it. I mean, it's just all bullshit. That is the biggest pile of bullshit. And if you really dig around in the FBI statistics on police involved shooting and blacks, it's not there. It's there, but a very, very small amount. But the black community likes to make it a big deal, and it ends up being on the 6 o'clock news when it happens. But because people directly or indirectly use the N-word causes diabetes, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nurse. I'm not a PA. I'm not a paramedic. With my minimum medical training, I don't ever remember reading that diabetes is caused from using the N-word. I just cannot fathom how ridiculously stupid that comment was. I watched that video. I was actually listening to the Gallagher show on 105.9. He comes on at 12 o'clock, nationally syndicated conservative talk show host. Great guy, very religious. And he played that clip. And I called Brenda. I said, Brenda, grab this clip. This is unbelievable that this is the crap that they actually are trying to sell the American people. And of course, now the reparation thing is now spinning around because of being Trump, because they know they're not going to get it. And they're like, see, John's being racist. He won't give us our reparations. There's a video clip. He's a congressman, and he was an Army Apache helicopter pilot. And he goes, listen, guys, I went to the academy. I'm a black man. My ancestors documented were slaves. I have no ill feelings. The people that I serve with, the people that I have the privilege of representing, don't care what color I am. He looks at he goes, you don't understand my district. A lot of white people had to vote for me. I'm like, that's a good point. He's like, yeah, I don't want reparations. Nobody gave me anything. I went to college. I went to the academy. I became an Apache helicopter pilot. I get it. Keep your eye on this guy. I'm telling you, they're gonna. I see they're gonna give him the nod for vice president. I mean, this guy is absolutely sharp. I forget his name. I'll get it in a minute. Brenda, video, please.
Tirade from the one and only Cat McSnatch coming at ya.
Don't be a racist. Don't be.
I know that's really short. It's a quick one, but I just when I saw this picture come out and I saw it was with Jasmine, probably the most racist. You talk about racism that's live, but it's okay because she's a Democrat and she's picking on red hats. And it was so funny. You can go online and you can go on YouTube and search it up. It pops right up, the news story. And it was funny. People that were there for supporting her, guess what color their hats were? They were wearing red hats and denouncing our red hats. Can't make this stuff up, people. Brenda, video. I guess we're coming
from
in
shore to shore, and at its smallest level, or smallest location, it's 7 miles between one shore and the other. Is that correct?
I don't have the exact dimensions, but to your point, sir, I think Guam is a small island.
Very small island, about 24 miles, if I recall, long. So 24 miles long, about 7 miles wide at the least widest place on the island, and about 12 miles wide on the widest part of the island. And I don't know how many square miles that is. Do you happen to know?
I don't have that figure with me, sir. I can certainly supply it to you if you'd like.
Yeah, my fear is that the whole island will become so overly populated that it will tip over and capsize.
We don't anticipate that.
These are the people that govern us. He's worried that too many people are on Guam, it'll tip over. These are the people that hold your destiny in the palm of their hands. Guam is going to be overpopulated and tip over. Now, Dave's in the room. He's a Navy guy. He might be able to explain how this all works about things tipping over. Why does an aircraft carrier not tip over? The science behind all that. Well, let's see. It looks like we're trying to end the show on a funny. So Brenda, go ahead. Roll a funny, then we'll bring it in for a landing for 8:30.
VIP. Let's kick it. Ice, ice, baby. Ice, ice, baby. Alright, stop. Collaborate and listen. Ice is back with a brand new invention. Something grabs a hold of me tightly. Flow like a harpoon daily and nightly. Will it ever stop? Yo, I don't know. Turn off the lights, and I'll glow. To the extreme, I rock a mic like a vandal. Light up a stage and wax a chump like a candle.
Oh, Alligator Alcatraz. They're going to open it up this week. I was watching on the news. They had Ron DeSantis, the governor, giving a tour of the place. Don't worry. They've got bathrooms, they've got showers, and they've got air conditioning. Just remember that. You know, these portable cities have all the amenities, portable showers. Of course, they have to have their air conditioning because, you know, we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, and because you don't give them air conditioning, that's cruel and unusual punishment type of thing. So Sunday, let's see, of course, Facebook wins. We have a tie between Facebook and YouTube, and X came in second to last. So all those folks on X, thank you for coming by. We appreciate it. Your YouTube people, thank you. We appreciate you guys. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, like. I don't charge. So, I'll wait till I'm as popular as Glenn Beck. Then you'll have to pay to listen to moi. But no, we'll never do that to you folks because this is your show. We appreciate it. Again, special thank you to Brenda, Miss Mirsky for coming on the show live and having a little conversation. Nothing gritty. We the people got to ask some questions. Reach out to her. She said, "You got questions? Reach out to her." She's got her Facebook up and running. I posted that picture, and probably within an hour, she posted about it, and I got a text message about coming on the show. So, you don't think that your voice matters? It does. Brenda, want to go ahead and bring this thing in for a landing?
If tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd work for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. Thank my lucky stars to be living here today. 'Cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. Sing it! God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, and New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say, I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. Proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the
All right, everybody. Thanks for coming out. Again, a special thank you to Brenda for keeping this all together and making it right. Miss Mirsky, thank you for coming on board. We appreciate it. Reach out to her if you got any questions. We will be back Wednesday at 8 p.m. on our normal time. Let us know if you like this 7 o'clock time frame. We appreciate your input. It's our show. We appreciate that. So we had a couple people show up. That was nice. I see that. Yeah. Yeah, the numbers came up good. So yeah, Facebook wins. Facebook wins. Again, thank you all for coming out. I appreciate it. And again, let's be safe out there. It's summertime. As a member of Volunteer Fire Department, we had a motor vehicle accident today. Everybody was okay. Please slow down. We are in no hurry to go anywhere. Slow down, please. And if you see red or blue flashing lights on the side of the road, please slow down. The life you save might be mine and somebody else's. And if you unalive me, I promise as a ghost, I will come back and haunt you for the rest of your lives. So, like we always say at the end of the show, Shank out. And I salute you, but you can't see me because I'm behind Trump. That's okay. There we go.